Hi, this is just a training video on the task Unit 1 task on Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word, obviously you use it. It's the program almost all of you will use for most of your assignments and essays and that. And when you're working your way through an essay or you're working your way through an assignment, the last thing you want to be worrying about is how to process the words. It's hard enough to think of the right words to put into an essay without having to worry about word processing as well. So this unit covers the essentials of Microsoft Word, and a lot of the things that you learn, if this is the first unit, that if you start with Unit 1, what you learn is what you learn in Unit 1 you'll also use for Unit 2 Excel and Unit I think it's 4 PowerPoint. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run through the assignment as it appears. There are 23 different tasks, and we'll just work through them one by one. The first task is to open the word processing application and insert the following task into a new document. I'm using Microsoft Word 2016, which is a little bit different, particularly in this sort of file area, to Microsoft, to earlier versions of Word. Particularly, I think 2007 is quite different, but this one, most of the stuff is pretty similar, but there are just some small differences, so that's why I'm doing this video as well. So we've opened Microsoft Word and we're inserting the following task into a new document. Now you'll note that I have put a Word version of this document in Moodle. The reason I did that was to save yourself typing. You can of course type all this text as well, but if you're like me, you'll prefer to copy it in. So I have it already copied from the document, and I'm just going to now hit paste, and there we have it. Regarding typing, my advice would be to try to move beyond two-finger typing over the course of the course. Now there are quite a lot of, I know there's Mavis Beacon and different programs you can get that can actually help you practice your typing, and I think it would be a fairly good skill to have, particularly in your future you might be using word processing quite a lot, and if you were to spend your life with typing with two fingers, it'd be just that little bit more painful. So I'd advise everyone to practice typing a little bit, and probably using the online software is probably the way to go. I think Mavis Beacon was one I used years ago. Okay, so that's the text in any event, and that's 16 marks for that. So we want to save it text to under locks. I'll ask you to save it actually with your name, locks. So file, save as. We'll save it on, we'll save it on that's my memory stick. So we're going to call it my name, your name, locks. Okay, so it's saved Microsoft 2000, the latest version of it, and it should be there. So again, usually what Word does, it picks up the first few words of your document as the heading. So here it was the history of locks. If you saved it as a history of locks, you'd lose 4 marks. Okay, so just take your time and do it sort of accurately. Okay, so we hit save. You can see that we've saved it correctly because we have our name and locks. Text 3 is select all the text in the document and change the font to Homa. There's 2 ways to select text. You can left click and roll your mouse, hold down the left click and just roll it over the text. That's one way. Or supposing it's a full essay, pages of material, then you'll want to go select all. So if it's a small little piece, I'd just use the mouse. If it's a larger piece, I'd recommend using this thing over here. So that's text 3. Half of text 3. We want to change the font to Homa. At the moment the font is Century Gothic. We want to make it Tahoma. Tahoma. Great. most of your assignments, generally, if tutors, unless the tutor recommend a particular font, I would use something like Calibri or Times New Roman, which is there somewhere. That's the sort of standard font that's used more often than not. Okay, so we know that's changed because it's Tahoma. That's text 3, or question 3. Question 4 is select all the text in the document and change the point size. That's just the text size in the document to 14. At the moment it's 11. We know it's 11 because it's there. If there's different sized document text here, sometimes you could have a heading that's bigger, whatever, this will be empty. Similarly, if there's different fonts used, this will be empty. So if these boxes are empty, there's a mix somewhere, and maybe that mix should be there and maybe it shouldn't. Okay, select all the text in the document and change the size to 14. Left click, we've done this before, hold down the mouse, hold down the left click button and scroll over the text. It's important to practice a little bit with this, particularly if you're new to using Microsoft Office. It does take a little while, a little bit of practice to just get comfortable using the mouse and getting the mouse to do what it is you want it to do. It just builds a little bit of muscle memory into it, so it's not an effort. The very, very first time you do this, and there aren't many people now I think who haven't done this already, but the first time you do this, it takes a while to control that mouse. Okay, and again, it depends on the quality of the mouse as well. Okay, or indeed the mouse pad. So what is this asking us to do? Okay, so change this to 14. It's 12 at the moment. We want it to be 14. So far, so not too difficult. Now it wants us to change the line spacing to 1.5. This is all basic formatting, so again it needs to be selected. And this is the section here which covers line spacing. 1.5. Okay, so, and 1.5 is generally what tutors like for correcting assignments because it's that little bit easier to read. Center the title, The History of Locks. Not too difficult. Again, we're using the left click, we're pulling it over the title and we're centering it, which is here. Now you'll be using this in Excel and PowerPoint as well. We center it. That's text. That's question 6 completed. Now create 2 new paragraphs in the body of the text after 1784 and was not amused. So where is 1784? There we go. So 2 new paragraphs. So we hit the return key. Actually, generally I'd bring it down like that. I'll bring it back a little bit just so it looks just right. Again, you could have it up a little bit, but I think it looks, for me, I prefer to see paragraphs that are clear and easy to see. Okay, what's the second one? So it's a new paragraph after 1784, a new paragraph after was not amused. Here we go. Queen Victoria was not amused. So we get the mouse, we click, select that point, we hit the return key, we go down, and we just go in just a little bit. Again, it's just to get it looking as it should look. That's question 7 done. Question 8 asks us to replace occurrences of registered with the word patented. Now, sometimes if you're writing an assignment, you could find that you have just written one word wrong right through the assignment. Now you could go through the assignment line by line, but an easier way to do that is to do a find and select. It's also a good way to find information in a document. You know, if you want to refer back to a certain thing you were talking about in your assignment, then it's a good way to do that. Indeed, there are a load of other reasons why you'd need to use this function. So what we do here is we go to find. Let's see, the word it's looking for us to find is registered. You see it's picked up those. Now I'm going down here to replace. Now this could be slightly different in your Microsoft version of Microsoft Word, but this is how it is in the 16 version. Slightly different to the earlier version. So you can see these down arrows. So down we go. Replace. Replace it with what? Patented. Okay. Registered. Patented. Do we want to replace one example of it or all three? All three. So then we just replace all done. 3. So then we close. So we should see patented here. Patented 1, 2. Where is the third one? Patented, patented, patented. There we go. Okay. So move. Right, question 9 asks us to move the final sentence of the third paragraph. Rumour spread that Queen Victoria was not amused, so that it becomes the final sentence of the final paragraph. So it's just about accuracy here. So we're left clicking, we're selecting. Again, practice, build muscle memory and you'll be fine. We're going to cut because we're moving it. Final sentence of the final paragraph. Now, you can see a little mistake there. We need to just bring down the old paragraph. So, there you go. You should have 4 paragraphs and that should be there. Okay. Okay, so that's question 9. We're nearly halfway there now. Okay. Question 10 is add a black border around the title, The History of Locks. So, left click, select. We can come here. Now this is similar enough to no, not here. There we go. All borders. So that is fine for that. And you'll be using this in Excel quite a lot as well. Under Excel, no, that's the easiest place to get your border. Okay, so question 11 asks us to create a footer in the document with the following text reference: your name and today's date. So what do we do there? We go to, and you can see now as well, there's different options open up when you hit these tabs. So that's the insert tab, that's home, where it's mostly. Here's insert. We're using insert because we want to put something in, and what we want to put in is a footer. So a footer, your name and today's date. Footer. Just blank footer. Type text. Let me see what that text will be. What does it ask us to type in? Following your name. Okay, so it doesn't, what it means is your name. And December 10th. Now, what I'd say is if you're putting dates and that into essays and assignments, to just be consistent. If it's this format here, then it doesn't look great if it appears like this somewhere else. So just be consistent in how you do these things for all assignments, really. Okay, and then we just go click close footer. So we have done what it's asked us to do. If we wanted to go back into that, you just double click on it and then you go close footer. So like a lot of students, when they're formatting essays and that, they have their name, their details, or private and confidential, or whatever it is they want down there. Okay, so question 12 asks us to change the text color to green in the title. Text color green. Again, left click and pull. That's probably the action you have to do more often than most. You can see the little menu here has popped up because it's intuitively can tell that you're going to want to do something with this text. You can also, of course, use this. So, history of text, the history of locks. now needs to become what? It needs to become green. So here's where we go, text color. This is for box color. This is for text color, so green. There you go. History of locks. That's question 15. Question 16 asks us to underline the heading, the history of locks, on the next page. Whoa. Right. No, sorry, I'm running ahead of myself. Change the text color to green in the title, the history of locks. Great. That's 12 done. Number 13 asks us to use a spell check. A spell check to check the accuracy of the document and spelling, and nothing looks worse in an assignment than bad spelling, because it's completely unnecessary. Now we check spelling. Here is, we go review, spelling and grammar. Now names and that you're not going to change, ignore. Yeah, let's say that's correct, you're not going to change that. Ignore all. Rumor, that's American spelling, English spelling, doesn't really matter as long as you're consistent again. I usually go this way, I think the other way is the American spelling. My name is spelled correct, so we'll ignore that. Okay, spelling and grammar check is correct. So how this is correct, correct and assessed afterwards is just I, or whoever it is, hits spelling and that pops up, and then we move on. So if that pops up for you, then you've got your two points for that section. Now we go insert a page break at the bottom of the letter below the word amused. So we're moving on to page 2. Insert. So where should we go? We should go here to insert, page break. And we're keeping it quite simple. Okay, that's another 4 marks. Now type the following heading, the history of locks, at the top of the new page. Okay. Now it's important to just watch for typos. The history of locks. Okay. Now it doesn't tell us to format it in any way. What it does ask us to do in question 16 is to underline the heading, the history of locks, on the next page. So underline is fairly easy. Left click yet again. We go to the home tab and we come here to underline. You've got your few marks. Okay. So number 17 asks us to create a table with 3 columns and 4 rows. Columns and rows. Columns, and this, I'm saying this as much to myself as to yourself. Columns are down, rows are across. I find it, I don't know, it's one of those things that I frequently have to stop and think about. Columns down, rows across, particularly if I'm busy, if I'm rushing or whatever. So complete the following table. So this is how I would insert a table. So insert table. You can count out the boxes this way, but it's just easier because you're not going to have one often that's so small, so it's just easier to actually pick in the input the number, what you want by hand. So table, this is under insert now. So you're coming here, you're not at home, you're in insert, you're hitting table, you're going insert table. Now you're telling it what size it needs to be. 3 columns and 4 rows. So that's simple. You just change this, 3, 4. Now it's the easiest thing in the world, just mix those two up. Complete, and then place it on the new page below the title, the history of locks. So there we go. You can see this little arrow. If you touch this arrow, I'm not going to do it now, but if you touch it and hold it down with your left click and you hold it down at that corner, you can move that table up and around, and it's the same for pictures and that. Okay, now this is the details. Date. Right. Inventor. Features. Now I'm using the mouse here, but you can of course use the arrows, up and down arrows, particularly for Excel, and I'm inclined to use the arrows for that. Okay, so 1778, Robert Barron, use of tumblers. Now if I didn't change that, see the spelling there, tumbler, you would lose maybe 1 mark for that question. So just check your accuracy. 1778, 1784 is Joseph Brain, use of tubular, use, well, ULARCYCLINDERS. And then last row is 1818, Jeremiah Chubb. Again, I'm watching to use correct caps where caps are used. Intricate levers. Okay, that's all looking fairly okay. We'll change that. Okay, use of tumblers, and you can see now what I'm doing. I'm just correcting, was there caps used, and there wasn't, and those things. So it's date, inventor, features. Also, you can see the formatting it's carrying the formatting from this. It doesn't ask us to underline this. So left click, select, go back to home, and undo that. Okay. Just check then that it is looking as it should. Center all the contents of column 2 in the table, including the heading, 4 marks. So we want to center this. So that's fairly easy. We're coming up here, we're left clicking, we're holding, then we're coming here and we're centering. Probably justify, sometimes people use it for, I would say for essays, and that's a good button to hit. It just makes it that little bit more pleasant for people to read. It looks a little bit tidier. Okay, so for now, that's all it's asking us to do. It's asking us to center the second column. If you center everything, you'll lose probably 2 marks. Now modify page setup. This is question 20. Modify page setup so the left margin is set at 2.54 centimeters. So 2.54 centimeters. Layout, margins, normal. That's the normal standard thing, and that's what you should always be kind of going for. 2.4 centimeters or an inch. There you go. So another thing that you can do, you can go home, select all, let's just look at layout, margins. Yeah, that's the one that's there, so we know we're 100% right. That works best for printing, and it's just the margins that you should stick to. Question 21 asks us to insert an image from an image library on the second page of the document below the table. Now, in older versions of Microsoft Word, which you could be using, there may be a clip art, clip art may still be there. It's been phased out of Microsoft Office. So what we're going to be doing is just getting an image from the internet and putting it on there. Okay, so where does it say? Question 21, insert an image from an image library on the second page of the document below the table. So here. So where do we go? We go to image. We go to, if you're putting in pictures from your computer, here's where you go. If you're using one from image library, here's where we go. Now it pulls up Bing, and what we're going to do is look for a suitable image. So I think a suitable image should be lock. Could use Queen Victoria, you could use a key, but just a suitable image. You wouldn't use a football, for example. Okay, so lock, we go search, pick a suitable one, that one's fine. There we go. All I did there was I just double clicked on it. So that's you just double click on the image to select it, just as you would double click to select lots of things, particularly say when you're uploading your assignments, you'll be double clicking on them to select them, double left clicking. Okay, so that's our image. So what it asks us to do is to resize the image so that it fits approximately the bottom half of the page. Now you can see at the minute it fits approximately two-thirds of the page. So to resize it, there's a couple of ways to do this. You can right click and go down to size and position and work through this. Now remember, just be aware of absolute sizing and relative sizing so you don't lose the aspect ratio of things. And those are the sizes of it at the moment, and you can obviously go through these. Closing that. What I like to do though is just do it the simple way. Just go to the corner and pull in. If I go here, I'll make it narrower, but it'll stay the same size up and down. So it's good to go to this corner, or indeed this corner, or this one, and just pull it to the center. Now it's a little bit in the small size now, I think. So there. I got to move it. You remember I mentioned how to move images. Come here. Whoa, it's not letting me do that. Sometimes this is a little trick you'll have to pick up. This, I'm right clicking now. So wrap text. Coming down to square. So oftentimes if you have an image and for whatever reason you can't move it, you need to set that square. So again, how to do that? Right click, go down to wrap text and go to square, and that'll just give you the freedom to move this image. And to move it again, you left click and you can move it around the page. Okay, it just gives you a little bit more freedom. So that's roughly, again, I'm not going to get a ruler out and measure these, but that's roughly, I'll make it a little bit smaller, the correct size. Again, I'll move it over so it looks a little bit better. You'll be doing this quite a lot in your assignments. A lot of the assignments in this degree going forward are applied learning, which means you'll be taking pictures and different things of the outside world. So it won't be like just writing text. There'll always be quite a lot of images and interactive things in that. Like say for example you're studying a local community and you're showing a local community, you're not going to be able to do that without any images. So you'll have to be able to be comfortably able to work with images. Okay, so that's question 22. Question 3 then is simply to save it and upload it. So to save it, you can come here, or indeed you can come here. So that's it. That's Microsoft Word. When you're finished it, I'd advise you leave it, walk away, come back after a while, and maybe just work through the marking sheets item by item, so that you can know that you have done it correctly. It'll also give you a good chance, particularly if you're new to this stuff. The purpose of this module is all about enabling you to be able to use this software effectively and easily through this, through all modules. So the more practice you get on this sort of stuff, the better. Remember, accuracy is important because you will lose a little bit of accuracy as you will lose a few marks, for spelling or things like that in this module at least. Okay, so hope that's helpful and best of luck with it.